You will not find life on the Nautilus so bad. We have wonderful food, and your rooms are very comfortable. The captain showed Ned and Conseil to their rooms, but he stopped me for a moment. Professor, may I show you something? Why, of course. Captain Nemo took me down to the bottom of the Nautilus, where there was a room like a large museum. It had pictures by famous painters on the walls and glass cases with beautiful shells from the sea. I read your book, Professor. You know a lot about sea life. You see, I enjoy sea life. You have things here that most people only read about, Captain. Well, I enjoy this room, but what I really prefer is looking out there. The captain pressed a button and two of the walls opened up. Behind them, there were large glass windows looking out onto the sea. A white light coming from the ship made everything easy to see. I stood in front of the window like a small boy at the zoo, and, believe me, I didn't feel at all like Captain Nemo's prisoner. Chapter 4 Outside the Nautilus traveled underwater watching the mysteries of the ocean. The captain and his crew were excellent hosts. They gave us wonderful seafood and we were free to visit any place we liked on the ship. We traveled near the coasts of Australia and Papua New Guinea. I enjoyed seeing all the strange sea life of these waters. I had enough information to write a new book. But Ned Land was not happy on the Nautilus. He was a whale hunter and his life was above the water, hunting whales. One morning, he asked Conseil and me to go to his room to talk. I want to talk about our escape. Our escape. We are underwater. How can we escape? Not now. This ship goes above water every 2 days to fill it with clean air. When we near land, we have to try to escape. The waters we are in now are full of sharks, Mr. Land. I know that, Professor. We'll wait. When we get close to a country we know, we'll try to escape. But how will we leave the Nautilus? Ned Land had no time to answer this question. There was a loud crash, and we all fell to the floor. The lights went on and off, and the engine stopped. The top of the Nautilus was just above the surface of the water. I saw Captain Nemo on the platform outside the ship. The ship was between two large rocks, unable to move. We had to wait 6 days for the water to rise before the ship could leave. The captain didn't seem at all worried. The sea brought us here, the sea will take us away. We were very close to Papua. I could see it from the ship. Ned Land asked the captain if we could go on land and hunt some animals because he didn't want to eat fish. Captain Nemo let the 3 of us go. This didn't surprise me at all. There were only cannibals on Papua. We couldn't escape because they would kill us. There was a small boat on the Nautilus which we used to get to land. Captain Nemo gave us news, and we were all excited to return to land and feel free again. The beach of Papua was beautiful. It had soft white sand and 200-foot-tall palm trees. We found bananas and coconuts, and we made a small camping area for the day. Some wild animals came out of the forest and ran away. Conseil was at first frightened. I thought they were the cannibals. Don't worry, Conseil. It's not yet lunchtime. We all laughed, then continued looking for fruit and vegetables. We walked through the tropical forest. We were so excited by this new adventure that we forgot where we were walking. We were far from the beach. I felt something small hit my head. I think I was hit by a rock. A rock. There's another. Suddenly, we saw others moving through the forest. Professor, sir, we're not alone. There were cannibals everywhere. We ran back to the beach. They followed us. They carried spears and shouted in a strange language. We jumped into the boat, leaving all our food and guns behind. They got into the water after us. Some of them came in their own boats. They threw spears at us, but they all missed. We jumped back on the Nautilus and went below. I found Captain Nemo in a small room next to the museum. He was playing the piano. Captain, there are cannibals outside the Nautilus. The sea, Professor, and music make me feel very peaceful. Captain, did you hear me? I did, and there is no reason to worry. The Nautilus is perfectly safe from those outside it. The captain left the piano and went out of the room. He and some of his men went up and opened the outside door of the Nautilus. Several cannibals looked down inside. One tried to get in, but when his hand touched the ship, he screamed. Another tried the same thing, and he also screamed. Soon, all of them swam away. You see, Professor, there is electricity around that door. Anyone who touches it feels great pain. I felt terrified. The captain had everything he needed to protect himself and his men. He also had everything he needed to keep us prisoners. Chapter 5 An underwater cemetery. The Nautilus was finally free of the rocks near Papua. We now traveled east, past Australia and into the Indian Ocean. Life on the ship was normal again. We sometimes stopped on the ocean floor and walked outside the ship. We wore special suits. They had large glass heads with special tanks filled with air, so we could breathe. Ned Land still wanted to escape, and he thought about it every day. But now that we were in the Indian Ocean, there was nowhere to escape to. One afternoon, while the Nautilus was on the surface of the water, I went upstairs to have a look outside. I saw Captain Nemo looking through a telescope at something far away. He said something to one of his men, and the man went downstairs quickly. The captain looked very serious. I had a small telescope with me, so I put it up to my eye to see what he was looking at. At that moment, I felt a strong hand knock the telescope away from my eye. Professor, I want you to go below. You, Mr. Land, and Mr. Conseil will stay in your rooms until I say you can leave. May I ask why? No. There was nothing more to say. Captain Nemo was upset about something, and he had the power to tell us what to do. I went to my room quietly. They served our dinner in our rooms. I fell asleep quickly. When I woke up, I thought that they put something in our food to make us sleep. The next afternoon, Captain Nemo suddenly opened my door. He came in with one of his men. He looked very worried. Professor, do you know anything about medicine? Do you mean, am I a doctor? Yes. I know some things. Why? I have a man who needs help. Could you have a look at him? Of course. Captain Nemo took me to a room where there was a man lying on a bed. He had white bandages on his head. There was blood on the bandages, and the man looked very sick. He was cold and white. I told Captain Nemo that he would not live. The captain's face changed. He looked very sad and there were tears in his eyes. May I ask what happened? The captain turned away from me. What does it matter? A man will die. Isn't that enough? Captain Nemo surprised me. At times he could be cold and serious. Then he could cry for a member of his crew. You can go, Professor. The next day, I saw the captain on the platform. It was a bright sunny day. I did not want to say anything about the sick man, but I was curious. I asked him if he wanted to go for a walk on the ocean floor. He said yes, so we put our suits on and off we went. The Indian Ocean had the most beautiful rocks, plants and fish in the world. All of us enjoyed it very much. It was like a